Yes. Another edition of Go Long Live with Barry Long 2. Appreciate all the love that we've been getting. I am Barry Long the second. Don't forget the 2. I'm not the first. I'm not the third. But shout out to them. I am Barry Long the second. Don't forget the 2. We are live on today's California.com. We are also live on today's Canada.com. Shout out to everybody up north. Love the love we've been getting up north. Lot of good reception that we've been getting up in Canada. Shout out to CoachellaValley.com. Everybody that's tuning in there as well. Hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day. I know I did. Full of some adult beverages, some cooking out. Hopefully everybody is getting their kids back to school safely and sound. I know a lot of kids on the East Coast. Labor Day is the final day of the summer for them. So the pool shut down, school opens up, and it's just But yeah, and hopefully your kids come home with clean shoes because you spent all that money on back to school shopping. I know my son his shoes are gonna be clean for like a week, and that's it. But yeah, so we are live. It is a sports show. We talk 30 minutes a day, and we're getting ready to ramp it up here. Pretty soon we got NFL football starting tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. I know you all are as well. We will preview that game. And we're gonna bring in a guy that is gonna be a mainstay on the show here. He's gonna be a regular on the show. Sage, how's it going, man?
Hey, how's it going, Barry?
Doing well, man. I really love the name Sage, man. It makes me want to break out some sage and start burning it and remove all remove all the bad energy out of the room. That's what Sage does. So Sage, man, first of all, yesterday was September 7th, the 25th anniversary of Tupac Shakur's death. Can you believe it's been 25 years?
Bro, it's been too long, man. And it was just a devastating loss to the community. I'm from California, man. He's still a big part. I mean, I was blessed. I never got to see him. I was still a kid when he was growing up, but later on when Coachella came, I got to see hologram Tupac.
The hologram Tupac.
Man,
that was creepy.
The love in the air, the love for him, it was special.
Yeah, and that was. I mean, the hologram kind of freaked me out because it was like that looks like really like Tupac, and it's almost like you wanted to go and do a 360 view to see if it really was him. They say that he faked his own death, that he lives in Cuba. So I thought maybe he came back just for Coachella.
It looked real, bro. I swear.
So Sage, let's for the audience, you're a new face here to the CoachellaValley.com and today's Canada, today's California audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from the Valley.
I'm from Palm Springs, born.
Okay. You played basketball out here.
I did play basketball here. I graduated from Desert Christian Academy.
Okay. And what position did you play?
I played center.
Center.
I was a 6'2" center, having to guard like 6'7", 6'6" guys, and
they call me a point guard, man, a point guard. So maybe we can get a third person, and maybe we can go out there and in the big three because I'm a facilitator. Now, what else? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. You coach out here.
I do coach out here. I coach at an assistant coach at College of the Desert for the basketball program.
Okay. So I can come out there and work out with the college guys?
Yeah, not right now with the COVID protocols, you know what I'm saying? But once that all clears down, we got you, bro.
I'm fully vaxxed, baby. I'm fully vaxxed. Yeah, and the numbers are getting crazy, man. If people aren't vaccinated, this is just my PSA of the day because it is devastating to watch people, that won't get vaccinated and they're passing away with the Delta variant, and it's just sad. But that's my PSA for the day. Now let's talk some sports. Sage. Now we had our first weekend of college football last week, and I was excited. There was a few good games, some ranked games where you wouldn't really expect to see games that were two ranked teams early in the season. Traditionally, college football has saved those matchups for later on in the season. But they wanted to bring out college football with a bang, with a flash. So we had a lot of good games on. But what game stood out to you the most? I'll tell you first and foremost, I am from Virginia Beach, raised out there, and my favorite college football team is Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech beating North Carolina, who is ranked. It was just an exciting game to watch, and Virginia Tech has catapulted to number 19 in the AP Top 25 poll. So I'm very excited about that. But what college football game stood out to you this weekend?
Well, first and foremost, I gotta give my shout out to ASU. Herm Edwards got the job done. It was an easy win. Nothing too special. I'm glad they're number 23 right now.
Yeah.
He's been putting a lot of work into that program, but the one that stood out to me was the Florida State Notre Dame game.
Oh, that was a good game.
It's a good cut. It was a good comeback story with Notre Dame finishing it off, and then with the controversial media, like the icing on it with the execution. Yep. And as a coach, I've heard that before, so it's not a big deal to me. But in the media, they needed something. They needed it, and they took it and they ran with it, and it was like, whoa, he's getting. I mean.
Yeah, it was an absolute great game. Went down to the wire, and there was a little bit of controversy, man. But you know what? We're gonna see that all season long, and I'm excited for Notre Dame and for Florida State moving forward. Florida State hasn't really been a top program for a few years. Ever since Jimbo Fisher left that program, they've been on some up and downs. So it's gonna be interesting to see if they can continue this good play. Now, this is the AP Top 25 poll. We knew that Alabama was going to be at the top. They are going to probably cruise, to the college football playoffs. Georgia catapulted and jumped up 2 spots. So good to see them doing that. But what really stands out to me on this, is when we get down to, after we get out of the top 10, I want to see Penn State a little bit higher. I definitely am interested to see if number 17, Coastal Carolina, will stick around. Virginia Tech, we have in the past, got to the top 25, and then we lose a game that we should have won, maybe to a UVA or maybe to a Louisville or somebody, and then we end up catapulting out of the top 25. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. But Arizona State, the one you talked about earlier, that one really sticks out to me the most because Herm Edwards has been the coach for a few years. He's finally got his freshman class, moving in the right direction. Now they're all starting for him. And we get to see the power of his recruiting, and as well, we also get to see him have some success, some early on success, and hopefully they can just keep going to the top. How do you feel about Arizona State at number 23?
I feel they're in the right place for right now. They have a lot to prove. Mm-hmm. And one other team that qualifies just as long with Herm, and he needs to get his kudos because he got ran through the media, was Chip Kelly. We saw on the list, UCLA. I'm like, man, that's big time. It's like for a guy that was about to just get ran out of LA, thinking you could only make it good in Oregon, and you come out and you're number 16, right next to USC.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. To see USC and UCLA in the top 25, in the recent years, it's just been that's phenomenal right there to begin with, because it seems like when one program is good, the other program is trash. And then now they're both trending in the right direction. But that is a great point, man, because Chip Kelly had so much success in Oregon, and when he got over to the NFL, it just did not work out. In both places, in Philadelphia and in San Francisco. And he did get ran through the media. And then when he came back to UCLA, it was a pretty tough early couple years. And that's what happens in college, because when you come in as a first-year coach, you have somebody else's players. And you can't just, like in the NFL where you could become a GM, or you can have your GM get rid of a lot of players and you can bring in your own players. This is college. These kids are going to be there for 4 years, then they're going to leave. So a lot of times it takes you 3 or 4 years to see your actual recruiting class, be the main players. So Chip Kelly, shout out to him, man. You're right. He has had a lot of criticism in the past, and it's good to see him have some success. Now we are live on today'scalifornia.com, live on today'scanada.com. We got somebody commenting in from today'scanada.com. Lady Che Vec, she just throws up the Canadian flag. Shout out to her. We love the support that we've been getting in Canada. Just a lot of people been.
I got a lot of friends in Canada.
You got some friends in Canada?
Yeah. I do some refereeing in North Dakota.
What?
And so in that tournament, we have a lot of Canadian teams. Not this year because of the border. It's still locked up for them.
Yeah,
at that time. And I mean, they're some of the nicest people, man. I love them.
Oh, I love Canadians.
We have a lot of people shout us out.
Yeah, we have a lot of snowbirds that come down. From the British, from the BC, from Alberta. We have a lot of them that come down here during the wintertime. And that's when the Coachella Valley really thrives, when the Canadians come down. And we got a lot of love for Canadians. We're also live on CoachellaValley.com and today's California.com. Now, so we have seen some injuries early on in the preseason for a lot of teams. The Ravens got hit hard this past 2 weeks We lost J.K. Dobbins. We had on Captain Defense, the super fan for the Ravens, and he's been at training camp. He's been around the team. He knows a lot about what's going on with the franchise, and he said that J.K. Dobbins was looking to have a breakout year. Then the next thing you know, maybe he jinxed him. I don't know. Captain Defense will be here next week. But yeah, J.K. Dobbins went out with a torn ACL, and then this past week we had Justice Hill go out with a torn Achilles. So the Ravens are looking very thin when it comes to running back. So they had to come out and work out some new guys. We had to work out what's his name? Coleman. We had to work out Coleman, Freeman, Devontae Freeman. We also worked out Le'Veon Bell. And we're taking a look and thinking about working out Todd Gurley. So it was interesting to see who they picked, but they got
Le'Veon Bell signed practice squad, and pretty much so what's going to happen now is the lead into he's just going to get in camp shape and then goes into the roster.
Yeah. So they ended up signing Le'Veon Bell to a practice squad contract, and we saw Le'Veon Bell get signed to the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Didn't really have much playing time. Wasn't really much of an opportunity for him to get on the field, but he will have opportunities in Baltimore. And like you said, he's got to learn the playbook. He's got to get camp ready, got to get back in shape. And I think he'll be a good change of pace back to go along with Gus Edwards, who is healthy. And then he's a different body type because Gus Edwards is more of a robust type of running back. And when you put Le'Veon Bell, who's a little bit slimmer, he's a little bit shiftier. It's going to be a different body type for the defense to tackle and a good change of pace to Gus Edwards. So who's your? Let me ask you this. Let's because this is Sage live with us on Barry Long 2 on Go Long Live. Who's your NFL team? Who do you root for?
Las Vegas Raiders is my team.
The Las Vegas Raiders? Woo. Okay. I mean, shout out to them. It's going to be the first year that they have teams, fans in the stands. They had their first inaugural season in Allegiant Stadium last year. But yeah, that'll be interesting. My Baltimore Ravens play against your Las Vegas Raiders on Monday, so we're definitely gonna have to preview that game. Now let's jump into some basketball. Now you love basketball. Are you a Lakers fan?
I'm a Laker fan.
All right, so you're okay with what I'm wearing right now?
I've been this since the forum. I love it. I love the outfit today.
Okay. Thank you, man. Thank you. Now the Lakers, we have been accused of being an old team. We actually are the oldest roster in NBA history. When you collect all the years that these guys have lived on this earth and you collect all the experience that they've had, we got LeBron James, we got Anthony Davis, but they went out and signed a whole bunch of guys that were 30 plus. You got Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Rajon Rondo, Trevor Ariza. The list goes on and on. But I'm excited for this team. I think this team is going to gel really well. Now we just heard yesterday that DeAndre Jordan will be signing a deal with him, and don't you love Photoshop? Like they already got the jersey on for him. But how do you feel about this signing of DeAndre Jordan to the Lakers?
Oh, it's a big time move for the Lakers. They need players like him, honestly, that just take he can get a little bit more from somewhere else, and just taking a pay cut to be with us. That's big time. And the Lakers are getting Carmelo, guys like Carmelo, like these guys shouldn't be on the roster, but they come to LA with the mission to win a ring, and that's what you see more of a shift in how the free agency goes. Kendrick Nunn for the Lakers, the biggest free agent signing the Lakers got was just to see him get $5 million?
Yeah, and he could have got a lot more.
His agent should get fired, or like he was just stubborn and didn't listen to his agent who had better deals for him. It's one of the other, and maybe that's why his agent didn't get fired, because honestly, that was a bad deal for him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bad deal. It wasn't as bad of a deal as Dennis Schroeder going to the Boston Celtics. I mean, he turned down the 6-year, $84 million contract to the Lakers. Forget what it was. It was more than $80 million, and he wanted $100 million, and then he ended up getting $5 million from the Celtics. So it wasn't as bad of a deal.
We said we're not. We're going to zero.
Kendrick Nunn did sign for less to come and win a ring in LA. And it'll be exciting to see, Carmelo, who's had a lot of success in the past when it comes to college basketball. He won a national championship his 1 year up there in Syracuse. He's won 3 gold medals, one of only 2 NBA players to have 3 gold medals. So he's been a winner. We've seen him win. We just haven't seen him win in the NBA. And maybe this year will be, his year. And then you get to see a guy like DeAndre Jordan, who's been a mainstay in the NBA for so many years. who's familiar with the LA area, probably still has a house out here, who's been a superstar at some point of his career, now have a chance to really win a ring.
He can never question his money.
Yeah.
And and that's what they talk about how he met Carmelo messed up the real big three in Miami was that same basis, and it's kind of like the Dennis Schroeder thing where he was like, man, I don't know if this money's guaranteed. I'm taking it now. Yeah. And it was unfortunate because LeBron and D Wade had took that deal to where they were going to be free agents that summer. Yeah. So Carmelo, like the Nuggets played their hand, and that's where they were like, no, we're not going to let you become a free agent that summer. We know what you're doing. You're gonna not take the deal, and that's the thing with NBA players. Tell me one NBA player besides Kristaps Porzingis who's ready to not take the deal. They always take the first extension, the minute up. Like Kyrie, because you got to take the bag. Think about this: you're gonna play 1 year and risk $100 million plus bag, and you're gonna play for what, $10 million? And then if you get hurt, or hurt your value like Schroeder did, you lose $100 million. You don't know. And that's what
you can get hurt, or you can hurt your value. That's a good point, because we've seen players that have lost out on deals because they got hurt.
Nerlens Noel is a big example. He's suing Rich Paul right now for that reason. He's like, he told me I was gonna get a bigger contract. He had a better contract with the Dallas Mavericks for a role player salary. I think it was like 12, 15, and now he went to 2, 3.
Yeah, for sure. We seen Isaiah Thomas. He lost out on some money because of injuries too. So we've seen, it'd be interesting to watch how the Lakers turn out. But I mean, how do you think that Russell Westbrook and LeBron James will gel together? Because a lot of people are saying that they're going to have chemistry issues, and I for one don't believe that when you play with LeBron James that you think that you're the best player on the team, you're the superstar on the team. I think guys kind of get under alignment when it comes to LeBron James, and they come in with a better mentality than they do when they're the superstar on a team. How do you think that the chemistry will work?
The chemistry works fine. He needs to play. He needs to be able to guard the best guards in the league, and at a level that was higher than Schroeder. And he's a better player. He makes the Lakers better by being on the Lakers. Like Russell Westbrook's a star still. He can still put up triple doubles. He could be like. I'm not saying that there's for LeBron, but when you saw time in who was it? Top of my head, Shaq.
Okay.
Shaq used Kobe to Kobe. That's why, where everyone Shaq dominated the playoffs. Well, Shaq didn't care about the beginning of regular season. He didn't care about preseason. He was fat, and then he got into he played himself into shit.
Say it like you mean it, man. Say it like you mean it. And
Shaq's my guy, but in Kobe, I'm using his quote. Like Shaq, Kobe was on the end of Kobe's Shaq interview. He was like, "Bro, he's like, you didn't work out. You didn't try harder. Like the week after championship, I'm working out." And he's like, "Kobe, I was eating. I was." Living. And that's where they were Kobe, that's where they started the drifting started happening, was like Kobe's like, why are you not working year round? Shaq, you're Shaq, bro. Like you could be even better. And he's like, I'm all right being Shaq. I'm gonna make some movies, man.
Kazam. Come on, man. When I saw Kazam, bro, have you seen Kazam?
I have, unfortunately.
Terrible movie. I wish you hadn't. I wish I hadn't. We are Go Long Live with Barry Long 2, live here on CoachellaValley.com, today's California.com, today's Canada.com, joined by my man Sage. You can follow him on Twitter at SageUp, at Sage_up. You can follow me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. You can also follow me on Instagram at BarryLong_2, and I'm on Facebook as at Barry Long _II. Now, what is your Facebook and what is your Instagram? Quickly.
All right, so my Instagram is it should be at Saged Up, same thing, and then Facebook Sage Alvarez.
Okay, Sage Alvarez, man. And if speaking of Facebook, we got a comment right here from MD Omar Farouk, and I'm assuming that's not Maryland. I'm assuming that's medical doctor. So shout out to Dr. Farouk. One of my dreams is to go to Canada. He says I am a poor person and I can't go if I want to. That's interesting because he's a doctor. Most doctors aren't poor. Can anyone help me? No matter what, to fulfill the wish of the mind of an unfortunate little brother. Wow. That is quite a lot to unpack there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm the person to be asking to get you to Canada. I mean, I can get you on today's Canada.com, All you got to do is just I'll send you a link, and if you're watching out there right now, we can actually have our listeners or our viewers pop up live on the screen. So I mean, I can get you to Canada that way, but I can't get you across the border. All right, so now let's jump right back into some more basketball talk before we talk about NFL, because we got a game tomorrow night, which is exciting. Now the Lakers, picked up DeAndre Jordan, who played on the Nets this past season, but now LaMarcus Aldridge also played on the Nets this past season, and he retired in the offseason, but now he has unretired and is back with the Brooklyn Nets. And this is what their projected starting five lineup is going to be. Kyrie, James Harden, LaMarcus Aldridge, KD. KD, I mean, that guy's just amazing. And then you got the brand new, the new and improved Blake Griffin, who hadn't dunked in 2 seasons, and all of a sudden he is rejuvenated and reinvigorated with this Brooklyn Nets squad. How do you feel about the Nets? Do you think that they're a threat to win the East, Sage?
They're the biggest threat to win the East.
The biggest threat, huh?
Would take out LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, you still have the best team in the East. You and I, it could be Harden, Kyrie, KD, and you and I, and we would win. We would win the NBA championship. We would beat our Lakers, don't you think? Man, I got the jump shot.
All right, so yeah, I mean, this squad is really, this squad to me is fierce. When we think about how the Milwaukee Bucks were able to win the East this season, it to me it's all up because of injuries. Because KD by himself, without Kyrie, without James Harden, who was also out of shape this past season, came in, a little bit cheeseburger too big. But when you saw KD almost beat the Milwaukee Bucks, if he had just half an inch, if he had stepped back half an inch behind the 3-point line, he would have still made that shot because the shot was a little long. So it probably would have been a swish, and the Bucks would not have even been moving on in the playoffs. So with that being said, I think that this team, and because they almost beat the Milwaukee Bucks by like 50 points in one of those games during the series, I feel like this is going to be an easy walk right to the Eastern Conference Finals and probably to the NBA Finals. How do you feel about that?
Man, honestly, there was a lot of injuries this year. It was devastating for the playoffs, both sides, Western Conference, Eastern Conference. You can even argue the Hawks could have easily been in the finals if it wasn't for Trae Young having to fight through. I mean, it looked brutal watching him warm up because he was in so much pain because he wants to be out there. And
yeah.
That's why it's hard to tell these players you can't play, and it's unfortunate, and that's what makes NBA championships more special. Do you realize it? If you realize the margin of error, like if Scottie Pippen gets hurt, Jordan probably doesn't win the ring. Like it just is just little things. Or Jordan gets hurt, can Scottie carry them to win a ring during any of those? Let's say first round of the playoffs they get hurt. So now we have a whole different history of NBA. It's totally different, and that's why it makes Jordan's run that special.
Yeah,
it's because people are like, man, that margin of error was that small, and they even watching the film, looked like they could have fell apart at any time. And Scottie doing the self, they literally was falling apart, and they kept it along to make that championship run special. And we got to see it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and when you look at like the NFL, they only play, and during the playoffs, they play one game against each team. So anything could happen. But the NBA, it's a grind. Those games to win a championship are tough. And anything could happen. One guy, it could be a role player that goes down. Maybe not even part of their big three or whatever. It could be the guy that always knocks down shots, like Joe Harris or somebody who goes down. And then, all of a sudden you don't have that threat, that 3-point threat. So then you end up losing. So, yeah, it does make it a lot more difficult, and it makes it more special to win an NBA championship. But, yeah, I'm already looking at Lakers Nets probably for the next 3 years, barring injury. And, one injury could derail that, but I also believe that they will make the proper adjustments when it comes down to like trade deadlines and stuff like that. And I'm looking for the Lakers versus Nets to be the season moving forward. Now, before we go, I wanted to bring this up real quick before we talk about the NFL game. This is Shelby Rogers. She is a tennis player for the U.S., and she lost this past in the U.S. Open. And she had a lot to say. She said that she was at the podium. She was quite emotional, talking about how she feels like she will get 9 million death threats on social media just because she lost. She said, they're going to say that she's fat, she's a fat pig and stuff like that. And it kind of like just highlights the evils of social media. We've seen some good stuff that happened in the social media with Sons and Four guy, becoming a story. But this is the evil part of social media and athletes. And when you talk about professional athletes, we really don't think about how they do receive death threats on a daily basis when they're not playing well. So, man, yeah, just how do you feel about that? And let's just unpack that real quick.
And unfortunately I know she's going through that because the trolls are relentless on Twitter.
I looked at her Twitter and there's some threats. There's some support, but there's some threats.
And trust me, part of my people that follow me on Twitter that are watching this, they know what part of my community. We bring the happiness to Twitter because we know that there's a lot of evilness to Twitter. And you know what? That my blog game is strong.
Okay.
Because it's like, I'm not going to block someone if they disagree. Like, hey, you're not going to agree with me on my Derek Carr take. I'm blocking you. It's not like that. But once it gets to a toxic level where you're going at people, where it's like, it's not a Derek Carr, you're dumb. Or just all right, we need to be like, it has to be a certain way that Twitter needs to go. And that's where you get the DM. Because people, they don't put a face behind it. They're on these troll accounts. And then you get that account. And you're going after it, and they're tricky, but all we can do is block and just hope that she's doing okay. Because I know she's going through it. Naomi goes through it a lot. She's a constant target on Twitter, and it's at least from my when I see it, and I'll block everyone I see that on top of any negativity.
For sure, man, for sure. And just anybody can say anything behind a computer screen, behind a keyboard. And there's good things about social media, and then there's negative things about social media.
Exactly.
And this is definitely one of the negative aspects. Now this is one of the good aspects of social media. The memes. The meme of the day is this. It says me preparing for this Sunday's game. Now this is me preparing for tomorrow night's game. But if anybody watches 90 Day Fiance, I love that show. This is Big Steve. They call him Big Steve. He's been known to have to be joked on Twitter for not having a neck. He's got a little neck. He's a little short guy, and they always put him with beautiful women, try to set him up. But Big Steve got a lot of personality, so shout out to Big Steve. But this is exactly how I feel waiting for that game tomorrow night. Now let's break down tomorrow night's game. This is Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've seen a lot of off-season stories for both teams. Particularly Dak Prescott, who suffered the ankle injury last year. He's been dealing with the shoulder injury that's been lingering on. This is Mike McCarthy's first real year to see what he can bring to the table as the Cowboys coach, because he actually has a quarterback right now instead of Ben DiNucci. And, we're going to see on the other side, Tom Brady, who is trying to, run it back and win back-to-back Super Bowls with a loaded squad, the same exact team he had last year. Bruce Arians, a year smarter. Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, a year smarter. So, who do you like in this game and why?
So I'm taking the Super Bowl champions on this one, and just for this game, actually, I think the Cowboys could be better than the Buccaneers later on this season. I think that they need time to gel. I think Dak. I'm not too confident in where his arm is, but I'm confident that. We heard enough to where he's resting enough to where it's not gonna be a problem long term. And the people that have experienced these problems, I've been doing my research, and they seem pretty confident. If you take care of it now, you don't have to worry about it later.
Yeah.
From that aspect, and for the Buccaneers, the word out of camp is from Coach Bruce Arians says that Antonio Brown is looking like the same old Antonio Brown that we all really know what he's capable of. And if that happens, how many good corners do you guys got on your team? And
because they're unstoppable. Their weapons are unstoppable. They got Godwin. They got Antonio Brown. The tight ends are ridiculous with Gronkowski and Brayton and Howard and Like, oh my God, the running backs. I mean, this team is loaded.
Leonard Fournette is battling for touches, and he can start on a couple teams, and I'm pretty confident. I was thinking, I was watching the Super Bowl yesterday, watching film, and I was like, why does everyone give up on this guy? You know, it seems like if I'm watching fantasy drafts, and maybe it's just fantasy, but I'm seeing I hope people don't forget who this guy is.
Yeah, he's top 5 of all time in my opinion. And when you look at the Super Bowl and the film from the Super Bowl, the one touchdown pass that Antonio Brown caught, that route was ridiculous. I mean, that if we have film of it right now, I would show it to you.
Yeah,
But he runs up, he plants, fakes one way, goes back the other way. It is just ridiculous to stop that. Impossible. And if he returns to the Killer Bees, Steelers form of Antonio Brown, look out. So I like the Buccaneers as well. I think this is going to be a closer game than most people think, because I think that there'll be a lot of adrenaline build up in Dak Prescott. I think Ezekiel Elliott is ready to prove that he is one of the top running backs in this league, because a lot of people almost forgot about how well he can play. And I think that the defense is a little bit improved, but I think that they'll end up giving up the big play that sends the Bucs to victory. But yeah, it should be an interesting game. I'm excited. I'm super excited. I can't wait. And we will break down the game on Friday. We will also pick all of our games for Sunday. And Sage, man, thank you for joining us. We appreciate all the love that we've been getting.
It was a pleasure to be on.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for everybody tuning in on CoachellaValley.com. Thank you for everybody tuning in on today'scalifornia.com, as well as today'scanada.com. And thank you to Craig Campbell for the platform. And remember, guys, moving forward this week, FMI, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember that you are capable of doing anything. Until next time, we thank you for tuning in. This has been an episode of Go Long Live with Barry Long 2 and Sage Alvarez. Peace.